Thank you guys for all your love and support. Like the first module, today we are going to do a quick revision of our third module. We have already completed the third module. Today we will do a quick revision within a 30 to 40 minutes. So there are two chapters in this third module. One is digital electronics principle and second one is logic gates and Boolean algebra. So without wasting much time, let's start this digital electronic principle. So in this digital electronic principle, first we will see the difference between digital and analog signal. Okay, so what is analog signal? Analog signal is continuous in time and continuous in amplitude also, but digital signal is discrete in time but discrete in amplitude. Okay, now we took one example. In our daily life we use the digital signal, whether in a computer or in television, everywhere we are using this digital signal. So we should know digital signal along with our analog signal. Now let's see one example of analog signal. So this is, I gave this example that this singer, that is he or she is singing, and this microphone is a transducer which is converting the sound wave into electrical waveform. Then this electrical waveform is applied to a linear amplifier. This amplifier will amplify the signal, and that is applied to a microphone that is giving us a loud voice or a very high frequency voice. Okay, so this is a system that is called analog signal. Now this similar process we can also use this analog and digital signal at a time. That this singer sings this signal, and here it is the voltage that is created, and using ADC, analog to digital converter, we will convert our analog signal, this small analog signal, into digital signal, that is bit 1010 form, and that is stored in the CD drive. And then this, from the CD drive we are drawing this digital signal and apply it to a digital to analog signal. It means here it is the analog process, this part is the digital process, again it is the analog process. That's the same that we did in last, that is putting an amplifier then a loudspeaker. Okay, then we will see, and this is all about the analog and digital, just a basic information that we should know both analog and digital signal for our communication. Because analog signal that we know, that is only we can, like this signal, acoustic wave, or this is one type of analog form. But for storing this analog signal, storing this signal, that should be possible in digital form, because there are certain positive points that I told you, like there is less space needed to store this digital signal. Also transmission is easy in digital signal, and there is less noise that is produced in digital signal. That's why we are using digital signal to storing the data. Now for the digital signal, we need that our digital electronics circuit, that system in which there are only two possible states. We need how to represent our bit. Bit means binary digits that I told, that is called bit. So this bit, they are represented as a two voltage level. In digital signal there are two voltage level, one is high and one is low. So if we are using binary system has only two number of digits, 1 and 0. So the high will be represented as 1 and the 0 will be represented as low. These 0 and 1, they are called bits. Now here you see, for a positive logic, 1 0 are called bits. For a positive logic, 1 will be represented as higher voltage and 0 will be represented as a lower voltage. Similarly for negative logic, my 1 will be the reverse one, nothing but low, and 0 will be represented by high voltage. So these high and low, they are nothing but logic labels. But what I told over here, they are the ideal cases. 1 is totally high, 0 is totally low. But for practically, there is a range of voltage levels. You can see from here that you can see here it is the VL minimum and VL maximum, means for a low voltage level there is a range. Similarly for high voltage level there is a range. As I gave this example, if it is 0.8, it is 1.2, it is 2.5, it is 3. So from 0.8 to 1.2, this is the low level. From 2.5 to 3, it is the high level. And from 1.5 to 2. That value, that is unacceptable. That value depend upon our requirement. That can be high, that can be low. Okay. Now the digital waveform. What is digital waveform? When a signal pulse that is ranging from low to high again back to low, or high to low again back to high, means there is a change in magnitude of voltage level, that is high to low or low to high, then it is called digital waveform. So in digital waveform there are basically edges that will change when a signal change from low to high or high to low, that is called edge. So you see this is a positive going pulse. Positive going pulse means the signal is moving from low to high and then back to low, that is called positive going pulse. Similar for negative going pulse, my signal is go from high to low and then back to high. Okay. So for positive going pulse, this first that is occurring, the first edge occurring at T0 is called the leading edge because it is coming first at time T0. After a certain interval of time, that is T1, this edge is coming, that is called trailing edge. Okay. So for in both positive going pulse and negative going pulse, the first one is leading edge, second one is trailing edge. And in positive going pulse, since it is rising from low to high, it is called rising edge. Since it is falling from high to low, it is called falling edge. Similarly, for negative going pulse, the first edge is falling from high to low, that's why it is called falling edge. And the second edge is rising from low to high, that's why it is called rising edge. Okay. This is all about what I told. So this is all that written what I told now. Okay. Now whatever we seen over here, this is nothing but a ideal pulse. Means at zero interval of time this is rising or zero interval of time it is falling. But practical cases it is not like that. To rise from low to high it needs some time. Like you can see it needs some time. This time is called rise time. Okay. And similarly for a high to low it needs some time to fall. That is called fall time. Okay. So what is the rise time? 10% of the rising pulse to 90% of the rising pulse. That is called rise time. Similarly 90% to falling means this negative second edge to 10% of this edge, that is called fall time. And the 50% of the rising pulse to 50% of the falling edge is called the pulse width. It is the actual pulse width. So you can see from here what is my pulse width is nothing but this is the pulse width, but this is for the ideal case. So for practical case this is the pulse width, that is 50% of the front side leading edge to 50% of the trailing edge. Okay. Now what is waveform characteristic? From seeing a waveform we can tell about the characteristic, means what is the frequency of that waveform, what is the time, that is the time period of the waveform, or you can also say the duty cycle of the waveform. Duty cycle is nothing but width of this pulse. You can see over here my duty cycle is nothing but the width of the pulse divided by total time period of the pulse. Okay. Now we will see how our digital signal carries binary information. You see the binary information that is handled by digital system appears as waveform that represents sequence of bit. It means for digital waveform our binary number system 1 and 0, that is called bit, they are represented as high or low. So to represent that signal high and low, it need a pulse, continuous pulse. That from that pulse it will called as pulse train. That continuous pulse, you can see it is here. It is a pulse train. Okay, it is also a pulse train. But this is periodic pulse train because the time period is repeating after certain interval. After the one time period, it is repeating again the pulse is repeating. But here it is non-periodic. You see there is no such period. Okay. Now what is a clock? A clock is nothing but it is a signal which does not contain any information. The information contained is in this waveform. The clock does not contain any information, but it is applied along with the waveform just for synchronization. Okay, so in digital system all waveform are synchronized with a basic timing waveform. You see the synchronized, for the use of synchronization we are using clock pulse. Okay, so this is the one bit rate that is either high or one bit rate that is either low. Okay, so you see more clearly, this is one bit rate, this is one bit rate. So you see for one clock period is a periodic signal. Clock cycle is nothing but a periodic signal. You see everywhere it is periodic, means after this interval it is repeating again. So this is the bit rate of the clock and this is the bit rate of the signal. Okay. Now what is a timing diagram? A timing diagram means there are suppose you have 2 to 3 waveform at a time. Similar to this waveform, you have 2 to more 3 waveform. So from the 2 to 3 waveform, you can tell about the timing properties of those waveform, means for which time interval my signals are high, for which time interval my signals are low. So that is called timing diagram. That is, from a diagram we are going to tell about the time interval for which my signals are changing or same, the characteristic of the signal. Okay. Then the data transfer. There are basically two type of data transfer. Data transfer means we have to transfer our data from one end to other end. Like as I gave one example, that is in CD. That data is stored again. From that CD, the data is bring back to the digital to analog communication. So for that, my data should be transferred from one end to another end. So there are basically two type of data transfer. One is serial data transfer. Second one is parallel data transfer. So what is serial data transfer and what is parallel? Let's see. In serial data transfer, you see, I need only one line. Let me zoom it more. Yes. For serial data transfer, I need only one line. You see, here is one line. But for parallel data transfer, I need much more number of data that should be sent. That much number of lines should be there. Okay. But here the time required to send a long bit need more time. Means because only one bit is applied at a time. That's why for sending a 8 or 10 bit, I need 10 number of times. Suppose one pulse need 2 microsecond. So 10 pulse will need 20 microsecond to send from one end to another end. But that is not the case in the parallel. For parallel data transfer, if I have 10 pulses, the 10 will need only 2 microsecond. If one pulse needs 2 microsecond to send from one end to another end, then the 10 pulses will need the same 2 microsecond. Because here parallel lines are there. Suppose you can take the example in a road. Suppose this is a road. So in this road there are 4 to 5 lane. Okay. So here what is possible, that for in each lane, suppose there are 4 lane. So in 4 lane 4 vehicles can go. Okay. So to a vehicle, there are 4 vehicles present over here. 4 vehicles should be reached at this place. So they need less time because each lane is clear. So they can easily move. And in the other hand, if you have only one lane and there are 4 vehicles behind this, it means one vehicle will go, then second, then third, then fourth. So it will need a bit more time as compared to this one. But here the number of lane need more. Here only one lane is required. So this is the advantages and disadvantages of series and parallel data transfer. Now we will see basic logic function. So there are basically 3 basic logic functions. What are those? One is NOT, second one is AND, third one is OR. NOT, as I told in an inverter, that whatever the input, the output will be invert of this one, is nothing, or the complement of this one. It has one input, it has one output. In AND case, you can have any number of input but one output. In OR case, you have any number of input but one output. Okay. So these are called gate, NOT gate, AND gate, OR gate. So you see, this is the truth table for this AND, OR and NOT. You know about it. When I will apply 0, I will get a 1. When I will apply 1, I will get a 0. Similarly for AND gate, the output will 1 when my both inputs are 1. At that case only my output will become 1. Similarly for OR case, if any of the input is 1, then output will become 1. Or if my both input are 0, then my output will become 0. Then we will see the number system. So what is the number system? That to represent that the digital signal, we need number system to represent the labels or the signals, whether it is high or low, or a value that is given. To represent the signal, we need number system. So there are basically 3 to 4 number system: decimal number system, binary number system, octal number system, and hexadecimal number system. Here we are seeing, you are going to read about the decimal and binary number system, because these two decimal number system we always use in our daily life. So this is the simplest one. So from the decimal, again we are moving to binary, because in binary there are only 2 labels, 0 and 1. So it will become easy for us to represent the signal whether high or low. So that's why we are going to read these two. So decimal number system, you see, if any number is given, let's take this example so it will clear everything. Suppose I have a number 868.25. It means I can write this value as like this: 8 into 10 power 2, 6 into 10 power 1, 8 into 10 power 0, dot. After the dot, all the power will be 10 power minus. Before the dot, the powers will be 10 power 0 to starting 10 power 1, 10 power 2, it will increase like this. And after the dot, they will decrease like this. So these are the called weight. Okay. So these are the power of 10, these are called the weight of. So what is the weight of 8 is nothing but 10 power 2. What is the weight of 5 is nothing but 10 power minus 2. Then we will see the binary number system. The binary number system, it is this decimal number system, that is, suppose the number is given 58. So what does it mean? It is in decimal number and it has a base 10. Decimal number system is represented as base 10. Binary number system is represented as base 2 because it has only 2 digits, 0 and 1. You see, this is the 4-bit binary representation of any decimal number. Suppose I have a 4-bit register or a 4-bit number, that is 1, 2, 3, 4. Since I have 4 bit of input, so what are the number of possible combination possible? That is nothing but 2 power 4, which is nothing but 16. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. You will count, there are 16 number of possible input. Okay, and what using those binary numbers, what are the maximum decimal number that I can get is nothing but 2 power 4 minus 1 is nothing but 15. When I have a 5-bit input, so what are the maximum combination that is possible? 2 power 5, that is nothing but 32. And what is the maximum decimal number that I will get? That is equal to 32 minus 1 is nothing but 31. So in this place it will come 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, means 5 1 at a row. So that will give me value 31. Okay, so this is the decimal number. These are the other binary numbers. Anything left? Okay, similar to decimal number, here the powers are in the power of 2 power 0, means in the power of 2. In previous case, the weight are the power of 10, and here the weights are power of 2. Before the dot, before the decimal point, the powers will be 2 power 0 to 2 power 1 to 2 power n. It will be less than 2 power n minus 1, means the number of digits that are present, this value will be less than n minus 1, because already one place that is occupied by this. So 2 power 0, 2 power 1. Suppose I have a 4-bit, something value 1, 1, 0, 1. So I will start from 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3. It means I have 4-bit, but I can maximum write 2 power n minus 1, which is nothing but 2 power 3. Okay, since I have 4-bit, I can write maximum 2 power n. And further, after the decimal point, I will move like 2 power minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, like this way. Okay, this is the before decimal point, this is the after decimal point. Now, here you see, this is the power you should remember, so that it will become easy while to convert any binary to decimal or decimal to binary. What is the power? 2 power 0 is 1, 2 power 1, 2, 2 power 2, 4, 2 power 5, 32, 2 power 8, 256. Just double. 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, then 5, 1, 12, then 1024. Like this, you double the values towards your left, and towards your right, you half the values. Okay, that is 1 by 2, that is nothing but 0.5. Then 0.5 by 2, 0.25, 0.25 by 2, 0.01, 0.125, 0.125 by 2, 0.0625. I think this value I wrote wrongly, the wrong value 0.625 in my video, so you try to correct it. That is 0.0625. Just divide by 2, whatever is the value, that is this is the value, and this is the half of this one is nothing but 0.03125. Okay, so remember the powers, at least 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 powers towards right and some till 256. This much powers towards left is enough for any binary digit that is given. Okay. Now we have already seen the binary digit and binary number and decimal number. Now we'll see how to convert this binary to decimal. Suppose I have a number, binary number that is given. Okay, so how to convert? I have to apply the weight, this weight formula. Okay, for each place I have to apply the weight. If a number is 1 that is there, then I have to multiply 1 with that weight. If a number 0 is there, then I am not going to take that value, because if I multiply 0 with any weight, that will give me a value 0. So you can see over here, I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Since I have a 10 bit, so what is the maximum value that I can write 2 power? Is nothing but 2 power n minus 1. Means 2 power 10 minus 1 is nothing but 2 power 9. So this value will come 2 power 9. You start from 2 power 0, automatically you will reach at 2 power 9. So when a 1 is there, multiply 2 power 9. Second, 0 is there, no need to write, but here I showed you just for clarification that 0 into 2 power 8, this value will give me 0. So I no need to write this point. Okay, so this is 1 into 2 power 9, then 1 into 2 power 7, then 1 into 2 power 6, then 1 into 2 power I think 4, then 3, then 2 power 0. Write all those values and write according to the powers, or you have to remember these values. Once you remember these values, you can easily write in place of 2 power 8 you can write 256, in place of 2 power 7 you can write 128. Here you can see in place of 2 power 7 you can write 128, and write those values and then add. Okay, so this is the case for only whole number. There is no binary digit upon that. If there is a binary digits, you do the similar process for this left half of this decimal point. Write 2 power 0, 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3. After the decimal point, write 2 power minus 1 and decrease that value minus 2, minus 3, minus 4. And once you remember these values 2 power minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, you can easily write those values. And for the before decimal point, write those values. After decimal point, write those values, just add. After addition, you will get any value that is in decimal form, 9.6825. It is in 10, base 10, but it is a fractional number, that is a decimal number. This is the whole number, this is the decimal part. This is the binary to decimal conversion. Now we will see how to convert the decimal to binary. There are two type of method. One is called sum of weight, second one is called repeated division of 2. You can see what is sum of weight. We know already just before the 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 8. These are the sum of weights. So when any any digital decimal number is given, so first you have to see that decimal number can be represented by what are the values that I will add, that then I will get the decimal number. It means suppose I have a number 14. So what are the values that is known, means 2 power form, then I will add so that it will become 14. So you see this is 2 power 3, this is 2 power 2, this is 2 power 1. If I will add this to 8, 4, 2, then I will get a 2 power 3, then 2 power 2, 2 power 1 will give me 14. And when a power is there, just write in place of that, write 1. When a power is not there, that is here 2 power 0 is not there, so in place of 2 power 0 you write 0. Similarly, you can see this is one example, 82. So 82 can be written as the power of 2, only power of 2, that is nothing but 64, 16, 2. This is 2 power, 64 is nothing but, you can check from here, 64 is nothing but 2 power 6. Okay, 64 is 2 power 6. Similarly, 16 is nothing but 2 power 4. And 2 is nothing but 2 power 1. So if I will add 64, 16, 2, I will get this 82. So I have 2 power 6, so I will write 1. I don't have 2 power 5, I will write 0. I have 2 power 4, 1. I don't have 2 power 3, 2 power 2, then write 0, 0. I have 2 power 1, 1. I don't have 2 power 0, then I will write 0. Okay, so this is one method to convert the decimal to binary, but it is applicable when a small number is there, like this 14, 20, within 100, okay, you can do. But I have a very large number, so this process might seem a bit difficult. That's why we came up again with a second process, that is called continuous division by 2. Any binary number is given, you divide that number 2 continuously. Okay, so once you will divide the number by 2, you will get a quotient and a remainder. Every time you divide the same, after the one division, again divide that by 2, you will get one quotient and remainder. You will get one quotient and remainder, like that. So at last, when your quotient becomes 0, you stop there. Okay, you stop there when your quotient becomes 0 and take all the remainder from bottom to top, or this is called MSB to LSB, means this will be the first bit, this will be the last bit, like this. This one is the first bit, this one is the last bit. So write in this order, bottom to top. That will give me the binary conversion of this decimal number 45. Are you getting or not? Write those number, divide, continuous divide by 2 until you are getting a 0 at your quotient, and then write all those reminders. Now this is for the whole number. Then we will see for the decimal fractional number. That for fractional number, similarly, the first method is sum of weight. Second method is continuous multiplication by 2. You see, in the first method, here we are dividing our 14 into 2 power positive power of 2. Okay, so in this case, the fractional part will be divided into negative power of 2. That is 2 power minus 1, 2 power minus 2, 2 power minus 3. You can see from these values. You have to check for what value of 2 power negative values I am going to get 0.625. And when you know, if I will add 0.5 and 0.125, I will get 0.625. Okay, So 0.5 means 1 by 2, which is nothing but 2 power minus 1. It is 2 power 1 by 8 is nothing but 2 power minus 3. So I don't have 2 power minus 2 term. That's why I am writing 1 for 2 power minus 1, 0 for 2 power minus 2, 1 for 2 power minus 3. Okay. This is also possible if you know the first 2 to 3 digit, that is 0.5, 0.25, 0.125, then 0.06, 32, like this, those values. But a lengthy number is given, then that will not possible. Then we came up again with the second formula, that is called continuous multiplication by 2. In previous case, what we did? We just continuous division by 2 and we took the remainders. Okay. Here we will do the continuous multiplication of 2. That is a number multiplied by 2. Whatever will be the result, you will write there, and if before the decimal point any value, that is 1, will come, then you take the, since it is a fractional number, if you multiply 2, you are not going not going any value over here that is more than 1. Either you will get 0 or you will get 1. Okay, so you are not going to get 2, 3 over here. So since this is a fractional value, so you multiply 2, you will get some value. If 1 is there, you take that 1 to the carry, and if 1 is not there, you take the 0 to the carry. Similarly, whatever the result, again you bring that result over here and multiply with 2 again. You will get 1.25, take 1 over here, because it is the carry part, it will move to that side. Then 0.25 will left, so 0.25 will bring and multiply again 2 with 2. So you will get like this. In this way, you after getting the carries, you write your answer in this, like this, from top to bottom. I think in my video I told you that from bottom to top, if I remember, I think something I told like that. But keep in mind that your value should be from top to bottom. Okay, it means it should start from here, that is the MSB. I will write 0 for MSB. This is 1, this is 0, this is 1, this is the LSB part. Okay, I write from top to bottom. Then the binary addition, and we will see the binary arithmetic, that is binary addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So addition, you know this small these rules, that is 0 plus 0 is nothing but 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 1 is nothing but 1 0. Okay, don't read it as 10, it is 1 plus 1 is 1 0. And if I will add 1 0 with 1, means 1 0 plus 1, it will give me 1 1. Okay, not 11, it is 1 1. So this is the simple binary addition. You will need these formulas to solve any binary addition. You can see over here, we are adding 1 1 1 1 with 1 1 0 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. Use this formula and apply over here. 1 plus 0 is nothing but 1. 1 plus 0, 1. 1 plus 1 is nothing but 1 0. So the 0 will be the sum, 1 will be the carry. You can see over here, 0 is the sum, 1 is the carry. So 0 is the sum, that 1 is carried over here. Okay. And then 1 plus 1 is nothing but 1 0. Again 1 is added. So 1 0 plus 1 will give me 1 1. Okay. So this is a simple binary addition, and similarly subtraction. 0 minus 0 is nothing but 0. 1 minus 1, 0. 1 minus 0, 1. 1 0, that is that value. When it will result, when 1 plus 1 is added, it will give me 1 0. That 1 0 minus 1 will give me 1. Because if you take 1 this side, then 1 plus 1 will give me 1 0. Okay. Then multiplication. 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 1 is 0, 1 plus 0 is 0, 1 plus 1 is 1. It looks like a AND gate or not. When my two inputs are 1, then only my output is becoming 1. And when any of the input is 0, my output is 0. Then binary division. Simple binary division, that you do in your decimal part. A number is given. Here the number 100 is given. You have to check whether this number is divisible by first 2 or first 3. You have to check. Since here are 3 digit, I am taking the 3 digit. Here it is 1 0 0. Here it will be 1 1 0. So 1 0 0 multiplied with 1 will give me 1 0 0, because 1 0 0 is less than 1 1 0. Then I have to subtract 0 minus 0 0, 1 minus 0 1, 1 minus 0 0. So for left side I am not going to write 0. So it is, what is remaining? That is 1 0. Then this 0 will come down. It will become 1 0 0 0 0. So here also 1 0 0. So 1 0 0 into 1 will give me 1 0 0. Then I will subtract 0 0 0 0 0 1 1 0. That I am writing 0. So if I will divide 1 1 0 0 by 1 0 0, you will get 1 1. Every time in binary arithmetic, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, you do by your binary process. Similarly, you convert those binary values into decimal, you check the values, you will get the same answer. Here I did like 1100 is nothing but 12. How? 8 plus 4 plus 0 plus 0 is nothing but 12. 100 is nothing but 4 plus 0 is nothing but 4. And if I divide 4 by 12, I get 3. And 3 means 1 1, means 2 power 1 plus 2 power 0. This will give me 1 1. Okay. Then we will come to our second chapter, I think. Yes, the logic gate and Boolean algebra. So logic gate, first is that is called inverter. We will see there are different type of logic gate like inverter, AND, OR, NAND, NOR, XOR and XNOR. Okay. So what is a inverter? This is the symbol representation of inverter. A triangle with a bubble, or some manufacturer company they use this write this type of symbol also, rectangular box along with one triangle. We will use this symbol, triangular with bubble. This is there are two type of reprint. One is triangular with bubble at front, and second one is bubble and then the triangular at front. This first one is called active low output, means whatever be the output that I will get, I will take the low values. Means the 1010 is there, then I will take the 0 values. Okay, here 0 is the active low, means here the 0 is the active one, I am taking the low. Here is the 1 is 0 is the active input, that is called active low input. Okay, then we will see when there is no bubble, means if any, you see this is symbol. If a symbol is like that, it means it is active high input and active high output also. Okay, these are the active low. There is no bubble means active high. Similarly, you can also represent this triangular with this square and this bubble with this triangular. Here the triangular does the function of that conversion, that is the inversion of this function. Similar to like bubble, here the triangular does the function of inversion or the complementation. That is, then we will see the truth table, and you know the truth table. When a high will be applied, I will get at my output is 0. When a 0 is applied, I will get an output of high at my output. So low to high or high to low. So how a inverter operate? If you apply a pulse, my inverter will change or it will inverse the values. If it is low, it will become high. If it is high, it will become low. If it is low, it will become again high. What is the timing diagram? That from there are 2 to 3 number of waveform, and from those waveform we are going to tell about the characteristic of the waveform, whether they are rising, falling, whether they are high or low. This is the timing diagram. Then the logic expression for an inverter. So what is the logic expression? In Boolean algebra, a variable is designed by 1 or 2 letter near the beginning of the alphabet. Okay, logic expression means this is the inverter. I will apply input over here and I will get output. This input and output, they are called the variables. Okay, so suppose I will write a over here, I will get x. My x is nothing but a bar. So a, x, a bar, these are called the variables. Okay, so you see here I have written x equal to a bar. So it is the simple thing. It is represented as by a gate, that is the NOT gate, that will apply to the digital circuits. Now where this inverter is used, this inverter is used in oneness complement. I already discussed what is oneness complement, that to convert 1 to 0 and convert 0 to 1, that is called oneness complement. So what is the oneness complement of 1 0 0 1 0? Is nothing but 0 1 1 0 1. Okay, this is the oneness complement of any number. So to convert 0 to 1 and 1 to 0, this is the simplest way, that by using an inverter we can easily convert our 0 and 1s. Okay. Then the AND gate. This is the symbol represented by AND gate. You can take any number of input. Here I have taken only 2 input, and this is the output. This is also representation using the square and triangular form like this. So how a AND gate operate? When my both inputs are high, then only my output will become high, and when my any of the input is low, then output will become low. So this is the truth table for this AND gate. You see, when the both input are high, from the operation or from the its definition, we are going to write the truth table. Okay. So okay, you see, suppose I have applied 2 number of signal A and B, and for each bit rate, for each time period, you have to see for that time period my both signals are high or any of is low. If both are high, then output will become high. If any is low, here if one is low, here also low, here both are low, at that case my output will become low. And when both are high, at that case my output is high. So from here you can also tell about the timing diagram that from T1 and T3 interval my signals output are high, and for all other case my signal output is low. Okay. Then the logic expression. The logic expression, that is a AND gate, can be that AND operation, AND function can be used as AND gate, that is A dot B or simply AB. So this is the symbol for AND gate, that is A, B are the variables, X is the output, X is nothing but A dot B or AB. Okay. So where this AND gate is used, this AND gate is used to count. We have taken over one example, that is AND gate is used to count the number of frequencies. So if a signal that is applied over here to the one input of this AND gate and to the second input of this AND gate, we have applied one enable signal. Okay. So for this interval, this AND gate will operate, and whatever the value that is coming for these two interval, my output will be the same. It means from here to here, let's zoom it. So from here to here my both signals are high, similarly my output is high. From here to here my this is low, this is high, so output will become low. From third interval, that is high, both are high, so output is high. Like this, you have to check for which interval my signal is high and for which interval my signal is low, for both signal. And you see for these two part, if this signal is high but this signal is always low, so when one input is low, my output will always become low to this AND gate. Similar for here to further onwards, this time interval my one input is low, so whatever may be the second input, my output will become low. Okay. So by applying these two signals to the AND gate, we are going to count number of pulses. You see here in this time period only this number of pulses that crossed. So then we will check 1 upon that time period, we will get the frequency. Suppose next in the next pulses, suppose some pulses that are coming, they are very small width. Let's take this one. So this is the pulse that is connected with this one. This is same pulse that is coming with this one. So when this pulse will pass through this, they are moving like this. So when this pulse will pass across the enable circuit, then these two are 1 and 1. So then the output will come. At that case, that might be those pulses that will come to the output. So unlike previous case, there are only 3 pulses. Here there are suppose 6 pulses that are there. So accordingly my frequency will change. Okay. So I want to count using this counter. So what happened after, suppose this first pulse came and this output we counted that suppose 3 megahertz that is stored in this here. Then the counter will become 0, means this pulse will be deleted. Then the next pulse that is applied after this during this interval, enable interval, that counter is going to count that number of pulse, means this pulse. It will give me 6 megahertz. So 6 megahertz will be stored here. Then the counter will become 0, means it will eliminate those signals. It will again wait for the next signal to come along with the enable. Again it will count that, accordingly it will show us the result. Okay. This is the AND gate. Now similar to AND gate, we will see the OR gate. Let's do a quick one. This is the symbol implementation. This is the truth table that you know. When my any of input is 1, my output will become 1. When both input are 1, then it will 0. So it is applied to the circuit, that is to a OR gate. When my both input are 0, output is 0. In all other case, my output is 1. Okay. So like in AND gate, it is this OR gate represent the addition, Boolean addition. AND gate represents multiplication, Boolean multiplication. Here you see it is the Boolean addition. Okay. So we took one example, that is a door and window, and when any of the window is open, the output will become 1 and the alarm will ring. And when 3 are closed, the output is 0, there is no alarm. Third one, so the fourth one is nothing but the NAND gate. NAND is nothing but AND plus NOT, and this is the second representation. So whatever the output of the AND gate, just convert that one. What is the output of AND gate? 0 0 0 1. 0 0 0 1. So what will be the output of NAND gate? Is nothing but 1 1 1 0. Similarly, you apply a signal to this AND gate, you will get the output. But you keep one thing in your mind. Here the bubble indicate that, as I told you in the first page of this chapter, is nothing but this active low outputs, since it is an output, this is the active low outputs. It means whatever the output that I will get, I will take the active low values like these values and these values. This is the representation of AND gate, that is AND plus NOT. There is a second representation of AND gate, that is called negative OR. Means it is ORed, but the inputs are first become negative by applying a bubble before there. So this is the A dot B bar. You know this representation because A dot B is my AND gate, and since a NOT is applied, this NOT is applied, that is called NAND, A dot B bar. Or this one we can call A bar plus B bar, because A, B both are applied, then first they are bubbled, means they are knotted. Applied their complement, then they both are ORed, that is A bar plus B bar. Okay, then we took an example that whether my LED will glow or not using this oil tank formula. When my oil level is less than 1/4 of this oil container, this signal will give me 1 or this signal will give me 0. Accordingly, my output will, whether this red light will glow means I will come to know that my oil level is decreased 1/4. Here the green light will come means I will come to know that my oil level is enough. In any of the tank circuit, oil level is more than 1/4. Okay, so you can represent anyway. You remove this part, you only see this part, or you remove this part, you see this part. Both are same. That is the representation of NAND gate. Similarly, our NOR gate can be seen like that. This is the symbol representation of NOR gate. This NAND and NOR, they are called universal gate. Universal gate means using this NAND NOR we can form any number, any type of gate, that is AND, OR, NOT. These three basic gate can be formed from NAND and NOR. NAND and NOR. So they are called universal gate. So this is the symbol representation. NOR means OR plus NOT. Okay, and this is the rectangular symbol representation. So this is the truth table for this OR gate. What is the NOR gate? What is the truth table for OR gate? If in both input are 0, output is 0. Then you have to convert here. When both input are 0, my output is 1. Okay. So here you can see by applying a signal, you can cross check. When my both input are 1, output is 0. Any of input is 1, output is 0. This is 0. But when my both input are 0, then my NOR gate output will become 1. So this is like the NAND gate. Here also it can be represented by this negatively AND. That is, input are first negative, become negative, then they are applied to AND gate. Here you took an example of the aeroplane and the sensors that are present over here and the gears. If they are retracted, then they will give me value high, and if they are high, they are applied to a NOR gate. If any of the input is high, the output will glow. Output is 0, and output 0 means this diode will glow. This diode will glow means it will indicate that among these three, one of the gear is not retracted. When it will extended means it will give me value 0. Extended means it is ready to land on the surface. When they are retracted means this side is not ready to land on the surface. Means if the plane will land, then there might be a crash. So accordingly this sensor will glow. Accordingly the pilot, they will he or she will adjust the sensors, the gears that is present over here. Okay, and the next one we'll see the exclusive OR and exclusive NOR. So what is exclusive OR? This is the symbol representation. This is the OR gate and a double layer is present over here. The truth table, the operation of OR, exclusive OR means when my both input are different, then only my output will become 1. If any of if both inputs are same, then my output is 0. You can see from here. So this is the truth table for OR gate. Okay, and similarly the XNOR gate. This is called XOR. Exclusive OR means XOR, XOR. You can see over here, this is the XOR gate. And second one is nothing but the exclusive NOR, that is called XNOR, which is nothing but applying a bubble in front of the XOR gate. Okay. So for similar for XOR gate, what are my outputs? My truth table is like that. When both are different, then only 1. And here, when both are different, then it will give me value 0. Where it is, here it is. When both are different, then it will give me value 0. And here when both are same, they will give me value 0. And when both are same, they will give me value 1. So this is the XOR and XNOR gate. We'll discuss this one in De Morgan theorem also. Then we'll come to Boolean operation and expression. So here for Boolean operation, we have to know that what is variable, what is complement, and what is literal. What is variable? That is the A, B, C, D number of input that are applied to any gate, that is called variable. Complement means applying a bar over here, that is called complement. Literal means whether it is a variable or complement of variable, both will combine give me literal. Means A is also a literal, A bar is also a literal, similarly B bar, both are literals. Okay, so in this Boolean operation, a sum term, when it will become 0, similar to the OR operation. When a OR operation output will become 0, when both of my input is 0, at that case only my output is 0. And when it will 1, if any of the input is 1. Similarly in Boolean operation, a sum term is equal to 1 when any literals will 1. It means it is dependent by A plus B plus C plus D. So when this A plus B plus, suppose C bar, these are literals. When this value becomes 0, this should be 0, this should be 0, this should be 0, and this should be 0. It means A, B, D are 0 and my C bar should be 0. C bar equal to 0 means my C should be 1. Okay, so these are the conditions that you have to check for what values of my input my sum term will 0. Similarly, in Boolean algebra, product term will become 1. Similar to AND gate in our binary, that Boolean expression, that a product term will become 1 when AND gate output is 1, when both input, all of the inputs are 1. Similarly, here a product term is equal to 1 only if each of the literal in this term are 1. It means suppose A, B bar, C, D bar, it is a product term. You see, terms are producted. Here it is a sum term, that sums are added. Okay, so when this value will become 1, if each of the literals should be 1, A should be 1, B bar should be 1, C should be 1, D bar should be 1. It means my A and C should be 1, B and D should be 0. This is the condition that is possible. Then there are some laws, and that laws of Boolean expression. There are 3 laws. But one is commutative, one is associative, one is distributive. Commutative law says for addition there is no difference for the order. A plus B can be written as B plus A. Similar to multiplication, if I take the AND operation first of AB, then I will reverse that one. The order does not matter. What is associative? Similarly, if I have 2 or 3 ORed, so whatever with the sequence, that doesn't matter. Whether you first OR B plus C, then with A, or in second case, if you will add A plus B, then with C, then also it doesn't matter. And the third one is distributive. So what is distributive law? It is saying whether if 2 of input are ORed and then they are ANDed, is same as if I will AND them and then I will OR with individual term, then also it doesn't matter. Okay, these are the 3 laws. Mostly distributive law will use maximum time in our numerical. This law is very important. Remember, if AB plus AC is there, I can represent as A into B plus C. Okay, but these other 3 are just for your proof that anyway you can write A plus B, B plus A, does not matter. If any question that is given B plus C and you have to, in your answer that is given C plus B, that means these both are same. B plus C and C plus B are same. That is for the proof. But we have to use the distribution law. There are 12 basic rules that we have discussed. If I add any variable with 0, I will get the same variable. If I will add with any variable with 1, I will get the 1. If I will multiply any variable with 0, I will get 0. If I will multiply any variable with 1, I will get the same variable. If 2 variables are ORed, that is the same variable that I will get. If a variable and its complement they are added or ORed, I will get a value 0. Similarly, if 2 variables are ANDed, I will get the same variable. And if a complement and the variable they are ANDed, I will get a 0. Complement and complement of a variable and then a second complement will give me the only variable. A plus BC is nothing but A, because from here I will take A as common, 1 plus B, and according to this formula 1 plus B is nothing but 1, so I will get A into 1. Again using this formula, A dot 1 is nothing but A, so I will get A. Similarly, A plus B bar, A plus A bar B is nothing but A plus B. How? Here we are going to use this, here you are going to use distribution formula, that A plus A bar B, you can check over here, A plus A bar B is nothing but A plus AB plus A bar B. Means here we use this 10th rule. First we use 10th rule, A plus AB can be written as A. So in place of A, I wrote A plus AB. Then I took common, I did some simplification, and at last you will get A plus A bar B is nothing but AB. Most preferably in this 10th rule, 11th rule and this 12th rule we are going to use everywhere. Okay, these three rules we are going to use everywhere. So remember these three rules: a plus ab is nothing but a plus a bar b is nothing but ab. But in question it might not be a and b, a bar and b. It might be something cd plus cd bar plus e. So similarly you have to think in that way. So in which form it is and whether I can apply the rules or not. Then there is De Morgan theorem, and this is the last two videos that we discussed. Let me cover it quickly. So De Morgan said that whether you are taking the complement of two and term, that is nothing but the complement of each term and then they are odd, means x dot y bar is nothing but x bar plus y bar. Similarly, if two term are odd and then we took the complement, that is the same as you took the complement of each individual term and then you ANDed. This plus will be converted to AND, this whole bar will be converted into two part. Okay, and if you remember in our XOR and XNOR, how they are formed? XNOR is nothing but XOR plus NOT gate. Similarly, here you can see this is the XOR gate. Sorry. So this is the means this XOR gate and XNOR gate we can use using De Morgan theorem. We can check that both are same using complement, that is formed. But here I am talking about that NAND and negative OR. Sorry, here is the NAND gate. Okay, that is the x dot y whole bar. So using my De Morgan theorem, what is the x dot y whole bar? Which is nothing but x bar plus y bar. From here, it is nothing but x bar plus y bar. So this is nothing but my negative OR. This is my negative OR. So this NAND, two representation NAND, both are same. Using AND and NOT is same as negative OR. Similarly for NOR and negative AND, both are same. Okay. So how to apply this De Morgan theorem? We have to check on which variable or which term I can apply the De Morgan formula, whether they are x plus y bar in form or x dot y the whole bar in that form. Then you apply that formula, and sometimes you might need to use this formula double bar. If a double bar is there, it will cancel, it will become a value simple variable. Okay, so you can check this XOR and XNOR by applying this De Morgan theorem. De Morgan theorem means just putting one bar over any values. So XOR term is there, here it is the XOR term. I put this bar and at last what I'll get this XNOR. It means XOR with NOT will give me value XNOR. So it is proved. Now this Boolean analysis of logic circuit. So how this Boolean expression can be represented? That is, if you have a logic circuit, how to write the Boolean expression? As I told that you have to start from here left to the right, you have to move like this, and what are the gates that are present, you write down the output. It is the first AND gate, write the output. Then the OR gate, write the output. Similarly you write the expression. This is the final expression of Boolean. And once you find this Boolean expression, then we can use this Boolean expression to construct a truth table. How? You have this logic circuit, and from this logic circuit you got this Boolean expression. Now you have to check there are how many number of input are there. So number of input is n, then how many possible of input combination? That is 2 power n. So write all those 2 power n possible combinations. Let me show you here. I have here that A, B, C, D. So how many input? 4 input. So for 4 input I need 16 possible combinations. So you see there are the 16 possible combinations. I wrote it in horizontally, but it should be in vertically, it looks more clear, but we can check. It is written in 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Now you have to check for what values of my input, my output should be 1. My output should be 1. You have to check for what value of A, B, C, D, my output should be 1. Based upon the condition, you will write those values. You see, what I found for my A, B my output should be 1, my A, B must be 1. And whatever the C, D value doesn't matter. It means this 4 term, my A, B both are 1. And whatever the C, D value, that doesn't matter. So for this 4 case, my output is going to 1. In another case, my output will become 1 if my A, C, D both means all are 1 and X, so B can be any values. It means it is also 2 possible combination. That is, my B can be 0 or B can be 1. So my B can be 0 and B can be 1. Since that B1 that is already present before, that's why I am taking only these values. So you have to check for what values of my input, my output should be 1. Then what is the logic simplification? Simplification means you have a very large logic circuit like this. You have a very large logic circuit like this. So by applying the simplification method, just you have to apply distributive law, you have to apply some rules. After that you will get whatever the long expression is given, you will get a small expression. So this is the large logic circuit, and after simplification what we got a small logic circuit. This is nothing but the same, both are same, but this is the simplification method. And the standard form, that is SOP and POS, that we discussed in the last class. So I am not going to again repeat this form. SOP means it is the sum of product, means all the product term are written and they are summed. Okay, the product term they are summed. Similarly for this POS, this is the sum term and they are producted. It can be a single values. Okay, so this is the SOP, how to represent. What is standard SOP? In standard SOP or standard POS, each and every domain that should be present in that. This is the standard SOP. Then we will see how to convert a POS to SOP. How? If you have a SOP is there, you take the binary values for this SOP and write the truth table for that, means write the possible combination of input. Once you write the possible combination of input, those values that are there for SOP, you are not going to write for POS. Suppose in this example you can see, I got a question of, suppose this is a SOP that is given. It is a sum of product, and in this product there are 3 input, means possible 8 combination, and out of 8 in SOP 5 are there. It means 3 are not there in SOP. Those 3 will be occur in my POS. But remember one thing, for SOP I am going to write 1 for my simple variable, for A or for B or for C, or 0 for bar. But in my POS I am going to write the inverse one. If a bar is there, I am going to write 1. If a B or simple C is there, I am going to write 0. Okay, because for SOP I am worried about my output should be 1, or for POS I am going to worry about my output should be 0. For that case I am writing like that. Then we will see how to represent this SOP and POS into truth tables. It is the simplest form. Whatever in my SOP form is there, write down the possible combinations, and accordingly those values are there, write 1 over here. Okay, and similarly for POS, if any term is there like this, A plus B plus C, A plus B plus C. So here you have to check one thing, that my now simple variable means it is 0. Complement variable means 1. Accordingly you write the possible combination, and whatever the input that are given, for those values you write 0, and for the all other values write 1. And for remember, for POS I am finding my zeros. Okay, my output should be 0, and for SOP I am finding my output should be 1. So this is all about your third module, and from next class we will start the second module.